Well, first, I'd like to thank all of you for coming and taking an interest in your local government. More of us need to do that. And that's why at my age, I decided now is the time to do it, because I'm tired of the way I see my county going. I grew up here. It's hard for me to tell you all the things that happened in my life in the 70 years. I'm a Vietnam vet. I worked for Caltrans doing survey work for 23 years. My father was the county surveyor for 20 years, so I kind of followed in that profession. My first year at Caltrans, I had to be a road inspector, and that's my main issue for running, is to fix the roads. They're not fixing the roads anywhere near even government standards. I want us to be proactive. I've got a plan to fix the roads, and I can't really reveal it. Maybe later in the evening on my closing, I'll think about it, because the issue I have would probably irritate a certain section of the county, that mainly the contractors. It'll work. It'll save us money. It'll put people to work. And the other thing I want to do is help the homeless. That's another reason I'm there, for the homeless. My lodge, I belong to the Oddfellows, and we give $250 a month to the lodge or the kitchen up on Broadway. The homeless are people too. And my wife has been in ICU for now, this is the 5th time in 4 months at Marshall. She's doing very much better, but I've always lived up to what my grandfather taught me when he was a dyed-in-the-world Texan. Common sense, care, and compassion. And I found out even more since she was in the hospital, how much more I have towards people. And I just want to work for the county. I want to put this back. I grew up at a time in this county when your parents knew if you did something wrong before you got home. You know, the other night at Denny's, I saw 4 guys playing Monopoly with milkshakes up in the corner of Denny's. That's the way we all used to be before we got and you don't talk to anybody. So I walked over to him and I said, I want to thank you guys for bringing back the memories of how it used to be. You know, we used to talk to each other. We used to have fun together. You don't have fun anymore. You're worried about somebody. It used to be the TV was, you didn't want to go over to somebody's house because you were going to interrupt the TV. Now you don't want to talk to them because you're going to interrupt the cell phone. So I want to see a bunch of things change, and I want to be your avatar to help those changes. I want to be proactive in everything. I don't want to go up and hide up in Mount El Dorado. I've been telling the merchants downtown, they can come see me if they see me on the street. If they don't do well, the county's not doing well. And I'm here for everybody, not just anybody, but everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, or good evening. I keep getting that mixed up. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. Thank you for hosting this forum. You always do an excellent job. And I'd like to thank all of you for sharing your Friday night with us to be informed about this upcoming election on March 3rd. And I'd also like to thank my fellow candidate, Brian. Brian, it's been a real pleasure to share this journey with you, and I've appreciated that.
Thank you.
In my other forums, I started off with my background and my experience and listing my qualifications. And last night in talking to Dennis about this forum tonight, I realized this is my home turf. Placerville is where my family settled in 1850. It's where I learned about community from my parents and my grandparents on both sides. It's where I ran my business for 23 years. It's where I raised my precious daughters. It's where I met Dennis. And it's where we're lucky enough to build our life. Placerville is also where I learned to cut my teeth on politics. It's where I learned about roads and infrastructure, about revenue and liabilities. It learned about unfunded mandates and budgets and governance. Placerville is also where I've championed community. It's where I've learned to launch a successful campaign to have our downtown district repainted. It's where we prioritized repaving and revitalizing Main Street with robust community engagement and dialogue. That was fun. It's where I've collaborated on pilot projects to find creative solutions to really tough problems like homelessness. Placerville is where I learned to expand dialogue with our community by instituting the neighborhood chat programs, and with the county in the 2x2 programs. The county has now rolled out the 2x2 programs to South Lake Tahoe and El Dorado Hills. And most notably, and this is my favorite, Placerville is where I, along with Dennis, and a host of dedicated, a small but mighty group of passionate and dedicated individuals worked to secure $40 million to fix Placerville's roads and pipes over the next 20 years. That's $40 million to fix the infrastructure of the 6 square miles called Placerville. That's significant. Serving on the city council with 2 terms as mayor was the single most special time in my life. And now, looking from a different perspective, I look forward to serving the county on a larger scale with the goal of making sure that El Dorado County remains rural, relevant, and economically vital for generations to come.
All right, thank you very much. Since Brian was the first one for the introductions, Wendy will take the question first this time. It's a group of questions about roads.
Okay.
I'll read several of them and kind of put them together. Do you have a plan to fund the much-needed repairs to our roads? How do you feel about SB1, what's your plan to lobby Sacramento for our fair share of transportation? And how do you plan to fix the county roads? So,
okay, there's a lot there. All right, SB1. SB1 was the tax that promised much more than it delivered. What was really challenging about SB1 is that when we were rolling out Measure L, it was a very fluid situation at the state level, and we patterned Measure L to garner. Let me start back. Being a self-help county allows you to tap into that pot of monies of the state, and as we were laying out Measure L, it seemed that how we patterned that would allow us to garner those state dollars. It turns out when all was said and done, we didn't qualify for SB1 funds, additional SB1 funds, because we also included the pipes in Measure L, because it didn't make sense to fix Placerville's roads if we didn't fix our pipes. So SB1 has not been the revenue generator that we expected and hoped it would be, both at the city and the county level. At the county level, the situation is much more difficult than the city of Placerville. What I will do when I'm on the Board of Supervisors is I will work with my fellow supervisors to have robust dialogue with each of the 5 districts in El Dorado County. That was the game changer for the city of Placerville. We tried it the first time, and our first sales tax measure failed by 11 votes, and we did that without community dialogue. The second time we learned our lesson, and we launched about a 1.5-year campaign to educate our community, to have dialogue, and without preconceived ideas, come up with a solution together. And that's exactly what we need to do with the county. We need to take the time to do it right, to increase our dialogue, and have the community figure out how they want to fix the roads within the mechanisms available to the county. It can't be a top-down approach. It needs to be a grassroots effort. And I've done it before in the city of Placerville, and I look forward to doing it at the county level.
thank you. Brian?
Well, SB1 has some drawbacks to it. SB1 is, for all intentional purposes, maintenance money. You have to spend some by the county level to get some. And according to, I can't remember the number of the section, you have, during a certain period of years, the county has to spend this money. Otherwise, you don't get any money. It's a share type situation. The county hasn't spent any road on maintenance, any maintenance money in 5 years. We just lost 5 people from the maintenance department. We now have 20 people working the whole county. SB1 may have been good. There was a lot of pitfalls in it. We should never have voted for the second time around. We should never have taken the story for it. The biggest thing I see with roads in this county is lack of training. We don't tell anybody how to fix the road. We don't even tell by the way the federal government says for road patching. Their idea is to bring up cold mix, scrape the hole out, take their foot, and back it down. That's not going to be there very long. There's a definite steps that have to be done. That requires training. My idea is, the other part of it is that it doesn't get talked about, and I was told before I ever started on this journey, oh, you can't do it because the environmental. I'm saying we have to haul asphalt from the valley up to here to put on our roads. The main pitfall of that, you pay for the travel, you pay the expense, and the asphalt doesn't get hot enough to put down. I'm saying we put an asphalt plant in this county to save the long haul, make it cheaper, put people to work, and fix the roads according to federal standards. No more of this, go out there, oh, we'll come back and fix this next week, it's job security type. And that's what I'm looking for, is to do, put people to work in that plant. And I know it can be done, but before I can get it instituted, it's a vote of all the people. Thank you.
The next question, we have 4 of them about homelessness. How do you help? What are you going to do about the camps in the county, the homeless camps? What are your thoughts on dealing with the issues in the county? And how well do you think the Board of Supervisors has developed solutions for homelessness? And what steps and investments will you make to reduce homelessness, homeless shelters, affordable housing? Brian.
Well, on homeless, I have compassion and care for those people. My lodge buys food for them. They are in a situation that most of them would probably not like to be in. However, you look at government runs out. Mayor, Steinberg, all this money comes in. It's a money maker for the government. Let's face what it is. The sheriff just imposed a hot team. They got $2.5 million grant to help the homeless. Does anybody know what they did with the money? They went out and hired 4 deputies, 2 clerks. Right there's at least a half of the money gone. And what did they do to help the homeless? I'll give you an example that I went to myself back during the fires a year ago. I went to get water for the homeless kitchen down at Sam's Club. And this elderly gentleman walks over to me, and he's wearing Bermuda shorts and look perfect retired person, right? And he says, "Oh, you're buying water for the firemen." I said, "No, sir, I'm not. I'm buying it for the homeless kitchen in Placerville." I said, "They're out of water." That gentleman gave me the ugliest scowl, turned on his heel, didn't say nothing, and walked back over and got into his Cadillac Escalade. And I thought, you, sir, are part of the problem. These people are people. We care more about DACAs than we care about our own veterans and our own people. And I'm saying we can help these people. We have to reach out to them. And everybody says that there's druggies. Yes, there is druggies. But there's people that are mixed up in there that need help. These places are dirty. Why doesn't the county take out a dumpster and put out there and say, you can stay here as long as you throw the garbage in? We'll come around once every other week and pick it up. They don't do that. Do they put out any one-hole trippies? No. These people live out there off the basic necessities. And if worse comes to worse and this country has an EMP or some kind of disaster, those people have learned how to live.
Thank you. Wendy?
All right, homelessness. It is a layered and complex challenge with no easy solutions. I think we all recognize that. In the homeless community, there are 3, I think, tracks, if you will. So there will never be a one-size-fits-all solution. There are those that are in a crisis mode, and the response to those are immediate, helping folks either stay in their home or get out of the crisis. That requires one course of action. The next are those, that's a large part of the population, that are struggling with mental and substance abuse issues. That requires a different solution. And then, according to national statistics, in any given population, there's 30% that will never avail themselves of solutions or options that are available. And to that set of the population, it requires a law enforcement perspective. So different solutions for the entirety of the challenge. We learned a lot of lessons with Hangtown Haven, and I'm grateful for them. From those solutions, we worked with the county, and this effort was financed by Supervisor Brian Veerkamp, and I'm very grateful to his leadership on that. And under Brian, we brought together the city, the county, the faith community, the advocates, the homeless population, and this law enforcement, which was a huge part of this coalition. And for years, we worked to become HUD compliant in order that we can garner federal dollars to combat homelessness in El Dorado County. We can't solve this on the general fund, and through Supervisor Veerkamp's investment, we are now at that place. We are HUD compliant. We now have money that in order to further appropriate solutions. I'm also grateful that there is a new willingness, that this is a growing problem all over the state, and that we can tackle this. Next week, I'm going with several members of the City Council and the county, and we're going on a field trip to look at some other jurisdictions have done. So I look forward to taking up this mantle in the Board of Supervisors, have experience with it. We now have some funding, and put our heads together, and we can figure something out that's appropriate for El Dorado County.
This follows up on that. What are your thoughts on the Diamond Springs housing project proposal?
At this stage of the game, I'm against it because we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have anything that we need to have that go through. We already have almost gridlock. Just drive through Diamond Springs from about Walmart to Jiffy Mart, starting from 3 o'clock to about 7 o'clock. It's never-ending traffic. It's going to be impacted when the sheriff's office puts in 2 more singles on each side of the fruit shed. When you drive up Highway 49, and you have to notice that there's a long line of ruts on the one side of the road. I'm sure, as I'm sitting here, that's over top of an EID pipeline, because it goes all the way from the post office clear down. We don't have the infrastructure to handle it. The people in Diamond Springs, that's our home. I've lived there for 40 years. And I know I talked to a lot of the people. They're all upset about it because of the problem that we don't have the infrastructure to handle it. The county's looking at it from the money. The people in Diamond Springs are looking at, leave us alone. If you want to do that, go down to El Dorado Hills. And I support that thought completely. And there's 2 subdivisions going up on the other side of what I call the Yellow Brick Road, which is from Jiffy Mart up over the hill. They've spent $18 million so far out of the Indian maintenance money to build that road, and that's not a maintenance project. And there's 2 subdivisions going in there. If anybody read, they let some developer off with a $1.1 million buy on the TIM fees, and I want to know why. Thank you.
Okay. Wendy.
This issue gets to the heart of housing in El Dorado County. And I think it's important that we kind of start reframing the conversation around it. A house of one's own is still the cornerstone of the American dream. Wealth creation in this country is built on the idea that folks like you and me, our children, those in our service sector, our teachers, our firefighters, those that are serving our community, can take part in the market that is real estate and then move up in that market, thereby securing their financial future. Here in El Dorado County, that conversation has been hijacked, where with an attitude almost like, I have mine, you don't deserve yours. Now that's not saying I'm a proponent of rampant growth. Statistically, right now we have about a little less than a 1% growth rate in El Dorado County. That is not rampant growth. I think it's a matter of design. It's a matter of making sure that any housing project does have the infrastructure that is appropriate for it. But this idea that, leave me alone, I'm here and you don't deserve to be here. We need to change that. I used to feel that way. I remember we lived on Miller Way, and that was before Cottonwood was going in. And I remember hearing about the plans of Cottonwood, and I was so angry. Anyway, I was so angry that it was going to go in. And in fact, I moved before Cottonwood was developed. Years later, I'm now back on Miller Way, and I realized that it's an important neighborhood to Placerville. And my fears and what I thought it would do to the neighborhood, it didn't. And it's an important part of our community. So we need to start reframing the conversation around housing, and we can do it well.
Okay, thank you. All right, you get to be the first to
Okay.
answer this one. How will you help to implement new county fire regulations around Placerville boundaries overgrown with trees and brush? And another question, what more can we do about the threat of fires?
Ooh, this is a really important issue. I know it's on the top of everyone's mind, especially as we're going into spring and summer, and I know we're all dreading fall. I am grateful that both the city and the county have spent the last couple of years developing a vegetation management program. That's important. I think it's helping all of us be aware of what we need to do to manage our own properties. This is a situation where the government can't do it for us. We all need to take a piece of this puzzle because it's so large. So, helping us managing our own properties. I'm grateful for the fire safe councils that are now a robust part of El Dorado County, which also helps our seniors and those that can't manage their land. There are resources to help them do that. So I'm grateful for that. In terms of, and I also appreciate that the city and the county have worked together to develop this management plan for the entire county. As far as fire danger, it's important that we continue on our evacuation plans, and I know the city and the county are working on that. It's important that we continue to have conversations with our electric providers. I am not willing to accept the idea that for the next 10 years, intermittent power outages are going to be our new normal. In fact, after the last power outage, I was able to help facilitate a conversation between city and county leadership and SMUD. And we started to explore what that looks like. That's a heavy lift. It's very difficult to do that, but there are also other mechanisms that are potentially helpful. I've been looking and had conversations with what's called CCAs, which are community choice aggregation, where cities and counties can help their customers bring competitiveness into a market. What I'm saying is I'm almost out of time, but there are ways for us to continue to put pressure on this issue, to raise our voice and not accept by a default position what the utilities are willing to give us.
Thank you. Brad?
This fire issue, the county came out with a vegetation ordinance. It says you will do what we say. But the county says, no, we don't have to comply. If you go down, they just recently did Mudload Drive down near Shingle. Has anybody down there been down there and looked at what they left behind? It's obvious the people that cut it don't have any training to cut a tree. It looks like a war zone now, where it was overgrown before. Now it's a war zone. Trees are lopped off all the way on one side. It's ugly. When I worked at Caltrans, we were told to survey the drip line around a tree. If the plans said that it took off half the drip line, the tree had to come down because the tree would die within 2 years. We have trees down there now that will probably die on the edge of the road in 2 years. So training is something we have to do again. I got involved in this thing with the fire insurance 2.5 years ago. Liberty Mutual, the company that stands with you, said, Mr. DeBerry, we are going to cancel you after 23 years because the roads in your county, number one, are of such poor quality it increases response time. I'm only 3/4 of a mile from the Diamond Springs Fire Department. I called them back, no, we're going to cancel you. It took me 2.5 weeks to come up with fire insurance. I have a way, I've been thinking about how to handle the fire insurance. Some people have told me maybe it can't be done, but I think it's time that we look into self-insuring ourselves. There's a health company that you can go to now that the people involved in it self-insure it. If there's 100,000 parcels in this county and you charge everyone $1,000, that's $100 million. We can do a lot with $100 million. And part of it would be you take and keep your property clean. I would rather pay $1,000 and get it with your tax bill, pay $500 each tax bill, and pay for it that way than pay $3,500 because I know one lady right now I went to high school with, she's paying half her income for homeless.
The county administration is always trying to cut senior programs. What solution do you have to maintain senior programs?
to step forward and help the people. I just talked to a lady the other day out in the mobile home park in Diamond Springs. I know the seniors, this is supposedly the 4th largest senior population of any county in the state. I want to help those people. I mean, this one woman I heard about, she makes $600 a month. Her rent is $400 a month. Her neighbors have to help her buy food. That's wrong. People, that is absolutely wrong. We have to help these people. I know a woman in a fire hazard. She was part of our lodge. She had to sleep in her car 4 different nights because they couldn't get a generator down into Hidden Valley or the one down Cold Springs Road. She said, to heck with it, I'm out of here. She moved to Bullhead City and bought another mobile home and moved out of here. There's so many seniors that got hurt in that. My wife could be one of them because that's when she developed her condition, was during one of those outages. We have to help the seniors. That's why I can't understand they're pushing for Major A for high schools, and they want the seniors to bear the brunt of this money for schools. We don't have any of these kids in schools. We've already paid our debt. How is this woman that lives in Diamond Springs going to pay extra on her insurance for her mobile home? I'm out there to support everybody in my district first and everybody in the rest of the county second.
Thank you. Now, Wendy?
Our seniors are an incredibly valuable part of our county. As my fellow candidate said, our senior population actually, we have the oldest population in the state of California. We have the 2nd oldest population in the nation, and that's a staggering figure. There's also some stark realities with that we need to address head on. For the last 3 years, our County Chief Administrator, Don Ashton, has repeatedly warned the Board of Supervisors that we have gotten to a point that we can no longer afford to be small and rural with low county taxes and high levels of service. That's a stark reality. And we have to, I wish I could say we can fund everything, but we can't. So what that's going to take is we need to have a really creative approach to these very difficult human needs. I fully support our senior population. Along with that, though, we have to get creative and pretty intentional about economic development. So we have the revenue to support these programs that are vitally important to us. We cannot just be a service county and say no to items that generate revenue. We have to be have our eyes wide open with that. Robust city-county partnerships, leveraging those are one way that we can continue the high levels of service for our senior population. The government can never do anything on its own. If it did, we would all be paying incredibly high taxes. So my answer is there is a balance. I fully support our senior population, and I look forward to being, creative and intentional with how we do that. Because the taxpayer just can't bear the full brunt of that.
Do you need excavating and trenching? All Good can handle it. Do you need brush and land clearing? All Good can handle it. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, you'll be in good hands. For all your excavating and demo needs, give us a call, 530-344-3417. 530-344-3417.
Do you think Placerville's historic resources are worth protecting, such as structures, roadways, and monuments? If so, how would you propose protecting those resources? And the other one is, what are your views about the courthouse?
Okay. The intent of this question is historic preservation and how we value our history. And I have a slightly different viewpoint than I think this question is getting at. Coloma is the seat of our gold rush. It's the heart and soul of our county. It is a beloved and protected part of our county. We have a lot of historical monuments and facilities that we hold dear. Goldbug Park is another one in the heart of Placerville, and I just so appreciate its ability to keep history alive for the thousands and thousands of school children that come here to experience the heart of California's history. The Apple Hill community keeps our agriculture and our rural roots alive so people can experience that. The Golden Chain Highway connects our historic communities. And Main Street Placerville is a glimpse of the continuum of time. I like the fact that it's not static. You can see history throughout our Main Street. It's not one thing. It's a vibrant, compelling place. I also love the fact that Main Street in downtown Placerville was the heart and soul of commerce during the gold rush. And I value that it remains the heart and soul of commerce today, which means that we can cherish and honor our history while we keep Placerville a vibrant, vital place as part of our economy, like its historic roots.
Thank you. Brian?
When I think of historical in this county, but growing up here, it seems that historical becomes an excuse for not doing something by some people and an excuse for doing something for others. If you want to stop a project, the word historical goes up. If you want to, it just seems like a dichotomy. If it's, my opinion is, if it's historical, it would already be here. Roundabouts, if they were historical, would already be here. The little cafe thing down here in Main Street, it's gone now, but that would have been here. Historical means it's already, to me, it's here. And I intend to help preserve, if I'm elected, the history of this town. I belong to the E-Campus Vitus, which I don't know where you people know what the E-Campus is. I rolled a beer can down the street in front of now Mel's to get my to enter into the E-Campus Vitus. My roots are here. I love this place. And as far as the courthouse, I don't want to see it moved. I think with the right work, close off Bedford and incorporate the next, where the DA's office used to be, and make it an architect and redesign something that's really fervent for the downtown merchants, the people. That's what they're coming here for. They want to be part of this. You stick it out on the top of a hill someplace, nobody's going to go out there and go to the courthouse except the people that come here, that have to go to court there. So I'm in favor of keeping the courthouse downtown with modifications to its current physical being and incorporating the other two being. I think Vought Right and Bond is another building that's vacant now. That whole area could be made into a really nice complex. The other thing that's hurting in this town, parking. We can make one of those places more parking for people. I mean, I got a parking ticket. I was going to our lodge hall there, Bavarians, and I had to be able to contact my wife. So I parked over in the leased parking along the back fence, leaving a place open for somebody with handicap. I got a parking ticket. I still haven't wrote an appeal. I still haven't heard anything saying, hey, I parked here so that somebody could use the handicap spaces. So who has all those spaces that are open that nobody can park in? Half the time, I never see anybody park in those places. We need parking in the city of Placerville. The county needs Placerville to do well, to help support what we have to do in this county. And all of us, everybody sitting here, this is our problem, not just his problem or your problem. It's all our problems. And I want to be the person that comes up with some common sense ideas, and with your approval, we go outside the box and we fix this place. Fix it so we can be proud of it, feel safe in it, and be proud when people come here and say, I just been to Hangtown. I see now when I come here, oh, I got to go over that bumpy road. I got to do this and I got to do that. But the people still come here. When I worked at Caltrans, I said, people said, where do you live? I said, next to Placerville. Oh, is that the place that has the 3 nasty stoplights going to Tahoe? I said, that's the one. But I want to help this place be for everybody. And that's what I'm aiming at.
Okay, thank you. Now, Brian, you get to be the first to handle these questions. They're all about growth. How do you balance growth so that revenues keep pace with expenses and maintain our rural community? How can we manage growth while keeping our small town community? And with all the push from the state to build so much new housing, what are you going to do to prevent gridlock? And what are your thoughts on measures why?
Well, it's a hard thing to say growth. My grandfather used to tell me, without growth, you become a ghost town. So to me, handling that issue becomes a one-on-one basis to be looked at by all of us. Does it make common sense, or are we just fooling ourselves? Common sense is what rules. It's like, I don't forget who it was said, you don't carry a rock to a gunfight. That's the attitude we have to go after it with. We have to look at common sense. Will it work? Will it go in fit our infrastructure? There's one drawback to affordable housing, from what I understand. It's all fine for the first renter, the first person who has a house. As soon as they move on, it's open bets. The price can go up, everything can go up. I may be wrong, if somebody in the audience can tell me different, but that's what I've been able to glisten on affordable housing. Again, it comes back down, can we really handle the growth, huge expansion? I don't think we can right now. Our infrastructure is years behind. It has not been taken care of by predecessors of either hers or mine. They failed to do the job that needed to be done.
Wendy, you want to tackle growth?
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, growth is an issue that we're going to have to really grapple with as a community. Because if we don't grow, we are not going to have the revenue. Like I said, for some of the vital programs that we're looking for to fix our roads, our infrastructure, revenue comes through incremental growth, not rampant, robust growth, but we can do it incrementally in ways that work for us. As a community, we need to dialogue about what that looks like. I think our general plan is a roadmap for that. In the general plan, areas of growth are already prioritized and identified, where growth is around community regions where infrastructure is already there. By working our general plan and allowing growth to occur in those already identified areas, which came from years and years of robust community engagement, that allows the rest of our county to be rural. And that is so important to recognize. By working those community regions and allowing appropriate development to occur within those regions and spreading it out across our county within those regions, so no one spot bears the brunt of it, we won't have the urban sprawl that we're all, railing against. None of us want to be a Folsom or a Sac County. And there isn't a single person on county staff or in local government that wants that. So this misnomer that we're going to have rampant sprawl is wrong. I had the opportunity to speak with the Economic Development Director at the county, Tiffany Schmidt, today, and I was so excited and encouraged about her vision for where we're going in the next couple of years. She talked about having a robust community engagement where we develop a housing strategy, where we don't just accept whatever developers come to us from a default and have to react to that, but we get intentional as a county and work to identify what we want and then incentivize and encourage that development that works for us, along with the community design guideline workshops that are being rolled out now. I encourage everyone to participate in those and make your voice heard as to, what do you want? And let's start from the ground up and really grapple with this idea of growth and make it appropriate for El Dorado County.
Okay, thank you very much. You get to be first on this one.
All right.
If you are elected, you will become my employer as I work for the county. Because a significant number of us collect public assistance because we don't earn a fair wage, and all of us earn 8 to 15% below the wages of surrounding counties, what steps will you take to bring our wage up to a competitive pace?
Okay. Wow, that's always a really, really tough issue. I was really discouraged to learn that 20% of our county employees can't afford to live in the county in which they work and serve. 20%. That gets, again, back to this discussion on housing. I'd like to be able to rectify that so the folks that work and serve you can afford to live here. I am encouraged that the county has been very intentional recently with wage surveys. And the Board of Supervisors, I think, has done an excellent job in tackling this head on and recognizing that there was a discrepancy, that our employees were grossly underpaid. And by doing competitive wage surveys, they're able to identify. The county is a huge mechanism. I think there's about 1,800 people. So being able to identify what areas, what salaries were way out of whack, what ones were in line and appropriate, and by targeting that, the Board of Supervisors developed a compensation plan where everyone reaches a certain part of equity, and that's across the board. It's fair. So I fully support doing that on an ongoing basis to make sure that our wages are not out of whack. I know our taxpayers are always looking to make sure that county employees don't have runaway salaries. I know that's important to our taxpayer, as it is to me as a taxpayer. But I also believe that the laborer is worthy of his hire. And so by having a compensation policy that's built on equity with neighboring communities and understanding what that is fair and equitable.
Thank you. Brian?
It's interesting that this question came up because I just talked to a gentleman who's worked at the planning department for 8 years. He can't afford a house. Apparently he doesn't married. He has 3 little boys. And he's just barely getting by on $38,000 a year. When the published median on their PowerPoint in the planning department, $72,000 is the median salary in this county. There's something wrong with that, folks. He does more in 4 hours than some of the people that are sitting in administration do in 2 weeks to help you, the public. I mean, I can go into this issue of salaries in this county. We have 2 people making over $350,000 a year, including benefits. We have one over $400,000, which is more than the President of the United States. And the governor only makes $190,000. We have probably 30 or 40 people at least that make over $225,000 a year. That's wrong. And where does that directly affect? It affects our unfunded liability to CalPERS. We are $388 million and rising as we sit here. Why? Because we have to fund these huge salaries. Because if they retire with 30 years, I'm a CalPERS person, I don't make near that kind of money. That money goes with them until they finally kick the bucket. I'm serious, it's wrong. Here's a gentleman that's struggling and he can't even get ahead, And then you go out there and there's up in the county council's office, there's this picture. I took a photograph of it. It's a beautiful, wonderful picture of what life is in El Dorado County. Shows a man and a woman out dancing around under a oak tree, with a great big, probably $750,000 house behind them. They got a skier in this corner. They got tech buildings in this corner. They got all this, and it says, "Enjoy the wonderful life in El Dorado County." And I'd like to know who really out there is enjoying that kind of life, because I'm not, and I want to see it come back. There's a stop button again, but can I go say one more thing?
Finish your sentence.
Take for example, this is one of the ways, if you read the county charter, the way they establish the sheriff's salary is they do an average of Alpine County, Amador County, City of South Lake Tahoe for a corresponding person, right? And if you want to skew something, you find something you can skew it with. They throw him in with a $650,000 that the commandant of the California Highway Patrol makes. Now you can imagine which way the average goes. It goes up. Why didn't they take Placer County? And that would have been a better average for what the people pay or are making in this. But no, they threw in this outlier to raise the salary. I think that's wrong.
Okay. Brian, how will you support the veterans of El Dorado County?
I support the veterans. I am one. I work at the VA hospital driving parking lot shuttle to help my fellow vets. I've been doing it since I retired. I try on my own personal level to talk to Vietnam vets And when I find something I talk to, I have 5 guys that come talk to me about it. The only way you get over Vietnam is talk about it. I mean, I didn't see half, maybe even a third of what other people saw in Vietnam. The third I saw was bad enough, so I can relate to these people. They put their lives on the line. The guy that hired me said, "Are you sure you're going to be able to handle this?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I've seen my share of pardon this, dead people. That's the easiest way I could say it. Or people missing arms. He said, "That's not it. You'll see after your first couple of weeks." And what he was talking about, and it made an impact on me, was picking up some guy, 30 years old, no arm, no leg, and they're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. That, and I think back, why is this happening? Why are we hurting our best and brightest people? We did it in the Vietnam War. We killed 58,000 of our best and brightest. Most of the guys I talked to, none of us can figure out why we were there. We didn't get anything out of it. We lost 100,000 people in being just in hospitals, because that was the way they wanted to tie us up. They didn't want to kill you. They wanted to maim you. So you had to tie up a bed, a doctor, and a space. If they didn't kill you, if it killed you, you would go home in a body bag, and that was the end of it. But I support the veterans because they do, like the cops do, they do a job that has to be done. And I would go back there if I had to help somebody that was younger avoid it, because I made it through it. I got out of there with a Nixon Troopa doll. Otherwise, my engineer company would have been in Cambodia.
Okay. Wendy, how will you support the veterans?
Honoring our veterans is a mindset that values the sacrifice that the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, all that they have done to secure our liberty. It's a pervasive attitude that recognizes their sacrifice and honors their place in our ability to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy every day. As far as a county level, it's about making sure that we have an open, clear dialogue and collaboration between veterans groups at all levels, especially in terms of the homeless population. I know I've sat on the Community of Care board, and veterans groups are a robust part of that dialogue because the veterans community is very much impacted in the homeless community. Looking at homeless solutions going forward, I think we're all very, very intentional about making sure that that homeless population that are the veterans are served, are acknowledged, are linked with the help that they so richly deserve. I'm in constant contact with a lot of the veterans advocates that do an amazing job on a daily basis for helping those that are either need help with probation or with other critical services to healthcare. And we have robust veterans organizations within this county. So I will look forward to collaborating with them, keeping an open door policy, and continuing to make sure that the annual observances are a sacred and beloved part of who we are in El Dorado County.
Thank you. We've talked about a number of subjects. So this question for Wendy first is, what are the 3 highest priority items on your agenda, and how do you see implementing them?
All right. The 3 issues that are highest on my agenda, and there's a lot of issues in El Dorado County, but the 3 that are highest, probably number 1 is economic development, because economic development touches on everything that we've talked about tonight. It's our revenue. It's how we fund our projects. It's how we fund our maintenance. It's how we provide for the services that we want for our daily life. Within economic development lies the need to reframe our conversations around housing, around job retention, an attraction. So economic development is an absolutely critical part of who we are and where we need to go in El Dorado County. Another critical issue that's very topic is our response to fire. We touched on that tonight, but the insurance challenges with folks, it's heartbreaking to think of the challenges that we're all facing with insurance getting canceled or getting to the point that our families can no longer afford to insure their homes, and that's just heartbreaking. The intermittent power outages that are crippling our families and our businesses, as well as fire danger, which is an ever-present worry. Maintenance is another top priority. Maintenance of our roads, our infrastructure, and our facilities. We're an older county, and our facilities are needing some much tender, loving care, and the revenue just isn't there to properly maintain our roads and our infrastructure and our facilities, which all then gets back to economic development.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
It has and always will be is fixing our roads. The roads are critical for our insurance. They're critical for our evacuation routes. The county here, I guess it was about a year ago, they took $600,000 out of the Human Resources Department to come up with an evacuation plan, and I'm going to freely ask any of you, have you seen any evacuation plan? The only thing I heard is somebody that I think he worked for the CDF came forward in front of a Board of Supervisors meeting, had an idea to use your cell phone. Now, I'm saying if you have a fire coming behind you and we're all seniors, you don't have time to push the button, and what if you're in an area that has no cell reception? I'm saying if you have property, you put it with a tax bill because everybody gets their tax bill. People do not venture out to find ways out. We have to help them with evacuation. That all goes under the roads. If they haven't got a good way to get out, that's part of why Paradise had the problem. The roads were in bad condition. If anybody has ever been up Stark Strait Road, you'll understand what part of the roads in this county are. Overgrown, a lane and a half wide. If a fire was to come out of Sierra Springs, the only thing that's changed is there's more people living back there on the Stark Strait Road than there was 70 years ago. They won't get out because you have to stop and wait for somebody to pass. You haven't got time for that kind of wait. But you drive back in there about 2 miles, and where they had a slip out, you come back and find a nice road section for 250 feet. The road is perfect, and then it goes back into this little lane and a half road where you have to stop. I want to see all that changed. I have one more thing, but I guess I've covered all that first part in that.
Thank you. Well, you get to answer this question first. We have two versions. What issues do you see that are different between the city of Placerville and eastern El Dorado County? And what is your position on supporting the needs of Placerville while meeting the needs of the county in general?
I think that was me, right?
Yeah.
I think I said it earlier. I support, the county needs business to grow. I walked the streets the other day and I talked to people here in town. There's 2 businesses closing, and we can't afford that. We cannot afford to have open spaces. There's open spaces out behind Carlos Jr. The county has to be proactive to help the people. We're not here to hurt the people. We're here to help the people. I mean, that's what was intended by the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States was to give everybody a free chance to become something that they wanted to be. And somewhere along the line, we have slipped, and I don't want to go into national politics, but we've lost our way. And business, we have to support our business. We have to. I mean, it's our lifeblood. You know, the county right now is running on grant money, which basically, if you want to put it in a point of view, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme because the people we're paying now are living off grants of the future. And maybe they don't have to produce on those grants for 5 or 10 years. They're eating the money coming from behind because they haven't got the money out front to work with. I'm saying change that. One really easy way to do it, the only thing my dad and I ever fought about, and I saw it working for the state, is there's a prevalence of managers that say, oh, and you'll see it start here about the end of May, and what it is they managers say, oh my goodness, I have $50,000 left over. I better spend it before they won't give me that next year. I fought with my dad. I said, you can't do that. I saw people at the state do it. I'm saying, give them the same amount of money that they had this year, but the money that they save you put it in a rainy day fund. And if they get caught every department gets audited. If they waste money, that money is deducted from the next year. So there's accountability. And that will save a lot of money because they spend thousands of dollars buying stuff that a week later to a month later, they sell for pennies on the dollar just so they can get the same amount of money next year. And that's not right. There's other ways we can economize in the county.
Thank you. Wendy?
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure.
Thank you.
What is your position on supporting the needs of Placerville while meeting the needs of the county?
There was another question, pardon.
It was the same, similar. What issues do you see that are different between the city of Placerville and Eastern El Dorado County?
All right, those are two different questions. I'll answer them. What is different on the needs of Placerville? Well, the needs of Placerville are near and dear to my heart, certainly. However, the needs of Placerville are well served and in good hands with the Placerville City Council and City Administration. So I don't have to worry about that one anymore. What I will do is I will look forward to continuing a robust and open dialogue with city administrators and the city leadership on the Board of Supervisors. Placerville is in good hands, and I look forward to just an open dialogue and continuing to champion the community from a broader perspective. As far as the differences between Placerville and Eastern El Dorado County, Eastern El Dorado County I take to mean South Lake Tahoe, and the issues up there are just incredibly different than the western slope of El Dorado County. Eastern El Dorado County, they're a seasonal community. Vacation rentals are a really tough challenge with the real estate market, and their lack of housing, along with seasonal employees, is a very layered and complex challenge. So they have really difficult and different issues that we have here on the western slope. Once again, those are served by the South Lake Tahoe City Council, though, and I know they're working with some creative solutions on that. So anyway, I just look forward to open dialogue between the county and city and moving all of El Dorado County forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you again for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. With my experience in this city, I'm prepared for the role of El Dorado County Supervisor. I'm almost finished with my master's degree in political science. I regularly attend the Board of Supervisors meetings, and thanks to you, I have experience in local government. I'm really grateful for that. I am ready to be effective as your next District 3 Supervisor. As Supervisor, I will be conservative with finances and bold with solutions. I will fiercely support our law enforcement personnel who are tasked with our security and protection. I will be an advocate to our family farms, our agricultural region, our historic hometowns, and the cultural and recreational amenities that are the heart and soul of our county. I will balance growth while safeguarding what makes us special. They do not have to be mutually exclusive. In fact, I won't be afraid of appropriate growth, and I will work with you to figure out what that is. I will support a business-friendly climate that enables business to prosper, and I will govern with respect and with optimism. You've had a chance to see that I'm a person that doesn't retreat behind a dais, and I'm willing to get in the mud and wrestle with competing interests and ideas in pursuit of something better. This county flows through my veins. My family arrived by covered wagon for the gold rush, and I love this blessed place we call home. I know you do too. I am very grateful for the endorsements of Assemblymember Frank Bigelow, current District 3 Supervisor Brian Veerkamp, former District 3 Supervisor Jack Sweeney, the El Dorado County Chamber of Commerce, Mayors Saragosa, Acuna, Hagan, Washburn, and Lishman, Vice Mayor Thomas, that was a hard one to get, and a host of prominent community, agricultural, and business leaders. So thank you for being here, and I respectfully ask for your vote on March 3rd. I will give you my very best.
Thank you. And Brian?
I have to say in closing, like my card says, I will work to have your money do the best that I can to help you. I'm adamantly in favor of fixing the roads. We have to fix them so that all of you can be safe. I mean, everywhere you go in the county, there's roads that are atrocious. I tell people, I can probably go and find places where I used to drag race here in the 60s, and I can still find my rubber marks on the pavement. I bought my first car from her grandfather, a 55 Chevy two-door Bel Air. Folks, we got it. This is a common deal that we all have to do is fix the roads. There's so many more things that hang on the roads. I'm a full supporter of the law enforcement. The Ishmaels, they used to work for my wife and I when we had a video store in Diamond Springs. I knew Brian from the time he was small. It really hurt my wife when she was going through all this to know that he'd been shot. I firmly believe for a sheriff's office. Even though people tell me by the articles I write, I'm in favor of the worker bees, the guys down on the bottom that are doing the nuts and bolts job every day. But we're overloaded with people in the top administration. And that top administration, when they retire, people is causing you and other places in the county the problem with PERS being out of control. And I want to try, I've got a way to possibly stop that, because if we don't, by next year this time, it could be over 400. It's rolling away because CalPERS, if you study it, is again a Ponzi scheme. It's legal. They take from the future to pay the past. The more you pay, you have to hire more people. It just keeps going away. Just like the sheriff's office, there's more people that are actually up and doing nothing than the poor guys down on the street that have to work in their cars. There's an incident I just read about. A woman was walking down the bike lane behind the sheriff's office out there, which this new bike lane is better than most of the roads in the county, right? It's even got a striped line. Apparently she ran into some young guys, and I guess they gave her a hassle, and a neighbor stepped into the whole thing. But they're less than 3/4 of a mile from or less from the new safety facility. It took over an hour, from what I understand from a pretty good source, before any deputy even rolled up there to help the situation. They had a homeless situation up behind Safeway. There was a woman, had all her stuff tied to the fence. She had a propane burner sitting on a propane tank right by Safeway. Had she lit the match, the whole place would. They finally had, the people at the store had to finally do something about it. So I'm saying there's things we have to revamp. We have to pay the people that are actually doing the work. And we got to stop paying all these people that are going to retire with these huge incomes. We can't afford it anymore. We can't, like this county, one last little thing. This county has a habit of doing things against the charter. The state charter, the county charter says you will buy locally unless there's a significant price difference. The county just went and spent $1.1 million on new vehicles for the transportation department. Guess where they went? Elk Grove and Roseville. So that money, tax money, went there. They contract out. The CAO, every time he wants to do something, what does he say? Oh, under this one, if we don't have knowledgeable people or the equipment to do it, we can contract out. We're paying 2 people to do the same job. The contractor people and the people that are sitting in the office. I'm saying train the people.
I'm going to let you tell individuals the rest of your story.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
You both have done a fabulous job, haven't you?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rick Rowe, owner of Placerville Polaris and Power Tools. I've owned and operated Placerville Polaris since 2007. If you'd like to experience the off-road, or if you have property in our community, come on in. Let's see what we can build for you. We are your one-stop shop for off-road fun. We do it all, from building your dream toy to decking out your razor. We are complete with a full shop, and we proudly service all our products, including our power tools. We carry only the best top quality brands, and we have everything you need for taking care of your property and maintaining your 100-foot defensible fire space. Building off-road vehicles is a passion of mine that I take very seriously. I like to be personally involved in building your dream toy from start to finish. Here at Placerville Polaris, we do a lot of testing for the manufacturers to ensure you get the proper accessories to fit your specific needs. One of my favorite parts is test driving to maximize satisfaction and quality. Come on in, let's see what we can build for you.